Good morning, everyone. Thomas Montgomery, IIMFL Smart Money Alliance. It is a cold and snowy Wednesday morning, February 17th. Many of us that live in Texas, that relocated to Texas, chose to do so for a number of reasons, one of which is the more moderate climate, but we have had far from that. So we've had historic low temperatures and historically high precipitation in multiple forms. Not here looking for sympathy or complaining, but it certainly has interrupted our operations. We closed the office early yesterday. I did come in today, but we'll see how we make it through the course of the day. However, on most weekday mornings at this time, 8 o'clock Central or a minute or so before, we love getting together with each of you, our distribution partners. Our distribution partners are the integral cog in this wheel that allows us to take our programming, products, services, and offerings out to the marketplace. The three of us that formed this model initially all came from the SBA. We realized how much of an opportunity there is to help entrepreneurs with accessing capital. But frankly, we also recognize that there's a tremendous ability to monetize it if done right. And it's really a blessing to work with each of you and see each of you generate, or well, you all have the opportunity. Some of you are monetizing this in a significant fashion. Take Barry, who's on the call here. He's already enrolled his first Capital Ready Package 3.0 client this morning. And so he collected $2,500. So that's not a bad one day for Barry. For a lot of people, that's more than they make in a week. So regardless if your focus is on the access to capital program with no upfront cost to the client, guaranteed capital raise, no minimum credit score, no minimum time in business, or if you're a bit more sophisticated like Barry and some of the others of you that go ahead and take out the Capital Ready Package 3.0, which is essentially the same chassis. It just happens to be that the client pays their refundable deposit up front and gets some other perks. Thank you all for all that you do. Now that we are decentralizing the mentoring, that provides a great opportunity for those of you, especially those of you that are life insurance licensed or know a life insurance agent, because I really believe that what we've created, not only to its inherent face value of helping small businesses access capital and become more financially literate, but also it's probably the best lead generation system that you could think of for insurance professionals. And we'll talk about that and defend that and make sure everyone's comfortable with that as we go through our conversation today. But we are getting lots of orphaned clients, which is a great thing. And an orphan client just means it's a client that was generated not from one of our joint venture partners. Because if you're a joint venture partner, then you mentor your own clients. Of course, you're paid more to do so, and that's what's expected. But we have lots of other clients that are coming in that are not coming from joint venture partners. And so we simply call them orphaned clients, not meaning that they don't have a valid referral source. It just means that the referral source is not wanting to or able to mentor them. So we reassign those, and that number continues to grow. So as some of you are getting ready or are working on becoming more proficient in mentoring, we received some requests to go through the preparatory training for that. So part of today is going to be a recap of other available trainings and resources, but we will dig deeper. So thank you all for joining. Regardless if you're currently one of our joint venture partners, we used to call them branch managers, but regardless if that's the hat you wear, or maybe you're just considering becoming one, or maybe you have no interest in becoming one, you're just simply one of our affiliates that refer in and don't worry about anything till you're paid. It's good for everyone to be on the same page of how the process works. We're very transparent. We record these trainings. We post these trainings up on YouTube for the world to hear without passwords or protection. We're very confident in what we do, in its legality, its morality, its ethical nature. And so again, we're pleased to go through this with you today. All right, so we've had some past trainings, and I'm just simply not going to waste your time, and maybe less or so mine, on reiterating training that's already been conducted. But I do need to make sure that you know where to find it. And so I will attach this when I send out today's recording so you can copy and paste. YouTube creates a lot of gobbledygook for URLs. And so rather than you trying to hunt and paste and type these, you'll be able to copy and paste it when I send out this recording with this link. Okay, so we recently talked about cohort training. So let's step back. So we know clients that come into the Access to Capital program or Capital Ready Package 3.0, they start with a 4-week curriculum. Now, when myself and the other two founders first put this together, frankly, it wasn't 4 weeks. It was a lot longer, and it didn't work well because people wouldn't stick with it. Now, 4 weeks, that's a reasonable enough time that a competent person can stay focused. A competent and diligent person can stay focused. We can build their loan package and build their literacy. So now with cohorts, what we're saying, and again, I don't want to be redundant of the training that's here, but we want to start new Access to Capital clients on Mondays. We'll be assigning them a mentor. So again, if you're a joint venture partner, of course, you'll be mentoring your clients as long as you're in good standing. And if the client didn't come from a joint venture partner, then we assign them to someone that is ready and willing and able to mentor our joint venture partners that are in good standing. So the cohort concept is essentially, it's a term often used in higher education where you have a group of people starting an educational campaign at the same time, finishing at the same time, going through the same significant steps. And so let's take Adam, for example. So Adam will probably have 10 to 20 new clients come Monday morning that he is going to be mentoring through the 4-week sequence. Well, certainly the 4-week sequence, which we have individual training on as listed here, each client deserves a one-on-one 15-minute session with Adam or whomever is mentoring them. But since you do have a group of people that are going together through the same journey, you have some flexibility in treating them as a group as well. And that's what we covered in the cohort training. So I'm not going to be redundant on that, but just to emphasize, if you've not watched this, if you've not assimilated this, you probably should. So with the 4-week process that you're mentoring these clients through, you're paid $100 an hour to do that. So it's good income when you're working with those orphan clients. But the point is there's specific things that you should be doing. And that's why we had these trainings. And so what to do during week 1, week 2, which I'm going to elaborate on here a bit more in a second, week 3 and week 4. So these trainings are readily available, and I want to draw your attention to them. If you've gone through these and there's some significant voids, then we certainly need to dig deeper and resolve them for you and most likely for others. But I suspect that if you're diligent in going through that training, we're probably in pretty good shape. Thank you, Jim. But I do want to talk about this for a moment because this is a crucial step. So I'll make an aside, and I probably shouldn't. So we did have another call, another Zoom last night with our programmer, and we're working on a better, more efficient way to bring clients in. So it's instant. They would agree to terms and conditions online. They wouldn't have to wait for a DocuSign. That's in development. So I don't want to spend time talking about that, but certainly we realize that the volume that we're doing, we didn't quite hit 1,000 new Access to Capital clients last week, but we're pushing that envelope. So we need to have efficiencies, and we're investing in those. But separate from that, the way the system works now is we execute the DocuSign, we assign them a mentor, and then the mentor reaches out to them and preferably makes available their Calendly schedule to hold weekly sessions. And just like I mentioned, I had to cancel some of my Calendly appointments with some of my mentorees, I guess, yesterday. I hate to do that. I did it in advance. Not all of them checked their email, so I still had a couple ugly emails. Why didn't you call me? But we're under a national disaster here. So if there ever can be some excuse for an office closing early, no power, no internet, no heat might be one. But invariably what will happen with clients is in some cases, you'll need to reschedule or cancel, or they'll need to. And Calendly is a free calendar service online that is really good for that. What I want to bring your attention to is that after your week 2 session with them, there's a very significant milestone. And that is that now we can take them for their first tranche financing, typically between weeks 2 and 3. And I think many of you are seeing examples of that. We've had several clients this morning that have gone to funding this morning already. What causes that to happen? So let's go specifically into that. So in the week 2 lesson, what we know is that the client is instructed to complete their personal financial statement, PFS, which you should be helping them with, and then to authorize their soft credit pull. Doesn't cost them anything, doesn't impact their credit score. Once those 2 things have occurred, then that'll automatically trigger on our end to take them to funding, their first round of funding. The amount of funding that they're going to receive in the first round, the FTF, will vary. We had a client yesterday, his first round is $50,000. $50,000 for his first round, his FTF. Is everyone going to get $50,000 for their first round? Of course not. But now what we can do is guarantee that everyone will get first tranche financing between weeks 2 and 3, as long as they comply. And the reason that that is possible is we have a guaranteed issue loan now that we didn't have before. 0% interest, so no one can complain about predatory rates. Didn't get any lower than 0%. And that allows them to fund their refundable deposit at worst. So our worst case scenario is we want to get them enough funding in the FTF to cover the refundable deposit, which allows us to continue to help them, and it gets you paid. Best case scenario, it's someone that is even more credible, and in addition to getting at least $2,500 to cover the refundable deposit, we can get them extra funding for working capital or other elements they may need. And we'll talk about upsell opportunities in a minute. So let's pause for a moment here. So for the past trainings, these have been available. They are available. I'm bringing them more to your attention. I will send this page out as an attachment to this recording. And if you're going to mentor clients, you need to be proficient in this. And this is important to understand what the trigger is. So it's your role as a mentor to help them complete the PFS and encourage them to complete the soft credit pull. If they don't do those 2 things, then they won't go to funding at that time. If they do those 2 things, then they will go to funding at that time. Depending upon the source of funding will determine how quick it actually goes into their account or how quickly it funds. Different types and sources of capital have different timelines, but the goal is to get them approved for funding between weeks 2 and 3, and whenever possible, actually have them funded before week 3. That's incredibly important to those of you that are life insurance agents or have life insurance agents on your team, because the week 3 lesson is going to educate them about a number of things, including collateral assignments. We even provide them the SOP, the standard operating procedures of the SBA, that shows why a key person policy is necessary for collateral on a loan. And so now the client is in a perfect position for you to help them with their asset protection, which I'll get to more in a moment. Okay, so I thought long and hard about how to label this bullet, but we're just going to call it upsell opportunities. This is not to be inferred that we're here to take advantage of people or just to try to sell them things. But what you and I do is we help them address deficiencies, voids, or gaps in their credibility and assist them in filling those voids, those gaps, so they become more credible, so they have greater access to capital. So we're not trying to sell them vacuum cleaners or blenders or vitamins or supplements. It would only be relevant to gaps, voids, or omissions that they have that keeps them from being credible or as credible as they might be for their access to capital. So, what are some potential upsell opportunities that you could recognize by mentoring these clients? Well, number one, you may very well recognize after reviewing the profile of the client that they are missing the basic elements to be a credible business. Maybe they haven't formed their business yet. They don't have their EIN, their LLC, their S Corp, their C Corp. They don't have a bank account open. Maybe they don't have a commercial address and so forth. Well, those of you that are joint venture partners, of course, can easily resolve that by inviting them into your incubator, not to be a joint venture incubator partner like you're doing, but instead to be an incubator client where they get that package. And so I'm not saying that you should recommend that to everyone or that everyone's a great fit for it. I'm just simply explaining that if they're missing a bunch of those basic credibility standards, which you'll know because we're going to forward you their profile before you start mentoring with them. So to the extent that they provided us accurate information about their current circumstance, you know that. You know how much is going into their business bank account each month. You know what type of entity they have and when it was formed. You know which bank they bank with and so forth. So the incubator package certainly, this is a question that came up several times yesterday. Should I go out to the marketplace and promote the incubator, or should I go promote access to capital? I would recommend promoting access to capital because there's no upfront costs. They come in and now you have a relationship with them. You credibly understand their gaps, and you can start to make consultative recommendations, which the incubator package might be one that would help them. Maybe they don't want the full incubator package, but they could just benefit from a commercial address. Well, so you can obviously help them with that as well. I put this in all red because I just can't emphasize enough, and I think I'm preaching to two different audiences. Those of you that have an insurance license understand this is better than sliced bread. All right, the Earl of Sandwich had nothing on us when it comes to solving a problem. This model is incredible. And those of you that are competent insurance professionals are leveraging the hell out of this. Now, if you're not a licensed life insurance agent, I'm not trying to recruit you to be one. I really have no interest in whether you become one or not. But if you're going to be running an incubator, you need to have at least, in our opinion, at least one insurance agent on your team, because we need to help the clients get their key person policy in place, which is prompted in week 3. But also you're a fool to not take advantage of the fact that here you have a client, you're the mentor, you have a trusted, relevant relationship with them. And so in addition to helping them get their key policy set up, you can do a financial needs analysis and determine, are there other areas of asset protection? How many Americans do you think are properly insured for themselves in case of death? What about in case of disability? What about their immediate family, their extended family, and so forth? And so again, if you're passionate about helping people with financial services, this is like the arrow going into the middle of the target in the opportunity zone. And then furthermore, unfortunately, most Americans aren't like you. They're not earning an adult income. Most of them are not on track to retire comfortably at a reasonable age. And so most people need help. They need guidance in being able to save money, to accumulate wealth. And so I know Bernard uses one model, and others just focus on more basic IULs. And it doesn't matter. We're not here. We don't sell insurance or financial services to clients, but I think you're almost remiss to not look at the client holistically and identify other problems that you might be able to help them solve. Also under upsell opportunities is Credit Boost. So frankly, we're going to take care of that for you, because in week 2, as I mentioned, we're going to be prompting them via the email to the email notification of the lesson 2 to complete the soft credit pull. And so we'll be able to look at their credit profile and identify if they might benefit from a higher credit score. Do all types of capital look at personal credit? No, they don't. Do all of them, is there a certain minimum credit score necessary? No, there's not. It varies upon the type of capital raise we're going after. But the Credit Boost, you'll get credit for if it's your client. You'll get credit for the commissions generated if we find that they're a benefit for Credit Boost. So do you need to pitch Credit Boost to the clients that you're mentoring? No, I wouldn't do that, but certainly you could just offer some words of encouragement that when you're letting them know that they're completing the soft credit pull, let them know that we don't worry about low credit scores. Credit is fluid. Credit doesn't remember history. And so it's okay if our credit's not where it needs to be. We can work with them to get it where it needs to be for funding. And the Credit Boost is the program that we use. So I wouldn't be pitching that to them, but you can just offer them words of encouragement, because a lot of times people that have challenged credit, they feel a little beaten down and kind of locked out of the capital markets. We're not here to sell them credit repair. We don't do credit repair, but we certainly can help them boost their credit scores with Credit Boost. And we see that being successful every day. Now, I really want to focus on this credit literacy educator for a moment, because it ties specifically to Billy is one of our joint venture partners and mentors. And so he's running into people like we all do, that we have clients that are broke. They're broke. You know, they enrolled in Access to Capital because they don't have any money and they need money, but they don't meet the credibility standards. And so what do we do there? Because remember, there are 3 types of, and only 3 sources of capital to grow a business. Only 3: debt-based, equity-based, and earned income. And so earned income may be the greatest gift that you could give some of these folks, that their business either is not cash flowing positive or not cash flowing at all. They don't have the money necessary to buy a key person policy. They don't have minimal resources to get their business credible. Well, what do? Do we give up on them? Do we no longer guarantee them $100,000? No, of course not. We don't leave them behind. What we can do is help them create earned income. And we recommend that they become a credit literacy educator. There's no sales involved with being a credit literacy educator. They're out educating, obviously, on credit, driving people to their landing page, which we provide to them. People enroll in Credit Boost, and then they're going to make an average of about $9,000 a month as a credit literacy educator. And you can even phrase it like that. If you were able to help that broke client generate an extra $9,000 a month in bank deposits for their small business, would that help them be better positioned for success? For a lot of small businesses, absolutely. Now, that's assuming that they spread the word, they're earning an average of $300 per Credit Boost referral, and referring in an average of 1 a day, which is 30 a month, 9,000 a month. So those are the upsell opportunities. And Adam, you were the prompting for today's training. So if I'm missing any of the points that you wanted me to hit, Adam, please let me know. And that really ties us to this. What else can we do to help you be prepared? So a number of you have asked some questions in the Q&A box, which is excellent. That's what we should be doing. So I'm going to start working through those. But if there's something that I've missed here, so you don't feel like that you're ready to mentor, let me know. And if you're not currently a mentor, but you'd like to earn $100 an hour to mentor these orphan clients, you'd like to be handed clients to do the financial needs analysis on, to write the key person policies, then we can fix that. And we even have a $25,000 sign-on bonus for new joint venture partners. Okay, so I'm going to start working through your questions. Go ahead and type them in. So Billy had asked, and I hinted towards that, what if they can't, if they don't have any money? Well, if they don't have any money, then they need some earned income. And what did we learn, Billy, in the week 1 lesson about business planning? We've learned in that lesson, and you can view it on our website. There's a link to the YouTube on the Small Business Certification page, the IIMFL website, that there are 4 stages of business planning. The first stage is the back of the napkin plan, where you just kind of have that aha moment. Well, wouldn't this be great? Really haven't vetted through it, but it's just an idea. The second is the resource plan. How much money would it take just to be able to flip the switch to start generating income? And then, of course, we have the full business plan, which we help them with. And then lastly, there's smart planning, ongoing planning, monthly planning that is specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. So the point is, if they can't afford, if they're broke and without liquidity, then they need earned income, don't they? And it would be best if the earned income came from their business, selling smoothies or making quilts or whatever it is that they do. If they don't have the ability to make that profitable in the short term, then invite them to become a credit literacy educator, Billy. That way they can earn on average an extra $9,000 a month, and now they can properly fund their business. Now they might come back and say, well, Billy, I don't want to be a credit literacy educator. I just want to sell smoothies. But the realistic circumstance we're looking at here is they don't have the money to get their smoothie business started. They don't meet the minimum credibility standards. And so in some cases in life, we go out and we do something that's credible and legitimate to earn income that may not be our long-term plan. Maybe they just become a credit literacy educator for a year. They put an extra $100,000 in the bank account, and they never want to educate anyone again. That's just like any of us that ever worked in the food service industry when we were younger. You know, my first job was at McDonald's. Well, I didn't become a GM or a manager of McDonald's. It just met a short-term need for cash flow when I was 17 years old. So hopefully we answered that, Billy. All right, so then we've got a question on the FTF. So yeah, there's different sources of capital, and we have to look to see what they qualify for. And if our safety net is the $2,500 loan, 0% interest, no hard inquiry, people love it. But it is a loan, right? It is a loan. And so if they don't keep current with it, then they're defaulting on a loan. And that's no different than if they defaulted on their car loan or on their student loan or credit card or mortgage or what have you. Then there's obviously ramifications. That's the way the finance world works, is if you take out a loan and you don't comply, then there's ramifications based upon the agreement, the terms and conditions, of course. And Joseph's asking, yeah, so the sign-on bonus is the same as what we've always done. If you will work with us and start a joint venture partnership, you pay the license fee in full, then we allocate $25,000 back to you for working capital. So that's one and the same, Joseph, just phrased differently. Sorry for the confusion. Robert's got a client he's mentoring that says he needs a second EIN because he moved to a different state. I don't believe that's the case, but they need to confirm that with their accountant. One of the things that you all need to keep in mind is we are not attorneys, or at least I'm not an attorney, maybe you are. We're not accountants, or at least I'm not, maybe you are. And so there's some legal or professional guidance that they need to call their accountant or their attorney and get. It shouldn't come from you or I. And so every small business owner needs to have a CPA relationship and a business attorney relationship. And if they don't have that, that's something that you need to build, right? We've talked about the entrepreneurial ecosystem in one of our trainings. It's up on the website. And so you should have a relationship with those business to business professionals that you can refer your clients to that don't have a CPA that they can call to get proper guidance. All right, let's see here. Yeah, Robert's talking about Zoom proficiency to do the personal financial statement analysis. Well, you can mentor the way that you want to, Robert, and maybe I'm lazy, maybe I'm old school, I don't know. And many of you know I was a college professor. I taught mainly in-person classes, some online. We didn't use Zoom, we had different technology at the college, but I can tell you that when I'm mentoring clients, I just do simple phone calls because some of these clients are not the most professional. They'll be checking out at Kroger's while we're doing their weekly call, right? I'm hearing the little ding 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 as their items are being checked out. That's frankly how important it is to them, right? Or they're driving in a rainstorm or what have you. So I'm not belittling it, but I think if you try to force Zoom calls for your weekly mentoring, I think you'll lose some of your lesser sophisticated clients. So I just do simple phone calls with them. So as long as they can manage to answer the phone, then we've got connectivity. But I'll tell you, some of the people struggle to do that, right? They're like, well, I don't answer the phone if I don't recognize the number. Well, how do you run a business, right? If you have a customer that you don't recognize their number, you don't answer the phone, or you don't have a phone service or what have you, you'll have clients that don't have voicemail set up. You'll have clients that their voicemail's full, but that's okay. Those are all educational moments you can help them with. The overwhelming point I'm trying to make, Robert, is I would caution you against using Zoom with clients because you're going to be more sophisticated than them. It might make them uncomfortable and you'll lose some clients. But that's up to you. And you could assess them if they're comfortable and proficient in that. Okay, and so Adam asked a question. So on the cohort training here, what we said is you can do as little or as much as you want with the cohorts. If you do nothing from a cohort perspective, the client doesn't know the difference. Up until recently, we didn't even have the cohort model in place. We don't tell them to expect, oh, Adam is your mentor and expect great cohort activities. They have no expectations of cohort activities. So it's up to you what you want to do, but we will talk about some ideas, some best practices. You could bring all of your clients together once a week and have an exchange of what they're going through, and they can form more of a sense of community. You can pair them up or have them work in small groups because every week they have a participant guide to complete. Are you aware of that? They have a participant guide every week that we send them that they need to be completing after watching the educational message for the week. So again, if this is not natural to some of you to teach and run in a cohort capacity, then don't put that burden upon yourself. But this is a model that's scalable. So if you're a little bit more sophisticated, a little bit more willing to do more with the clients, then you can do so, but there's no requirement. All right, Billy says, got it. John says, earned income is based off the business bank account. Well, okay, so earned income is just the third category, right? So we either borrow money, we get equity injection either out of our own pocket or someone else's, or we have more money coming in than going out. So we have money of our own to reinvest back into our business. And I was just clarifying that I would not minimize or discount the importance that you and I, John, and others have to help clients earn some income. Some people are just not earning enough income, whether it be in their business or personally. They're not earning enough income. Had a client yesterday, frantic, lives in the north. I'll be generic to protect his confidentiality. Lives in the north, hasn't paid his rent on his apartment since December. the heat is out, but he's not comfortable calling the landlord to say the heat is out because he doesn't want the landlord to come in and lock the doors and push him out the door, right? This gentleman, great man, he needs some earned income, right? He has not generated any income, I think, since October of last year, has no earned income. So he's going to become a credit literacy educator and turn his life around, because right now he has no earned income. Okay, so Jim's asking about the cost of being a joint venture partner. The cost of being a joint venture partner, it was $100,000, and then the pandemic hit, and then the board elected to reduce that in half to $50,000. And then the board elected to offer a $25,000 allocation of working capital, which reduced it to $25,000. However, we financed that at 0% interest and low $250 payments. So there's two ways to finance the joint venture license. It's not a franchise, a license. Either we can finance it $250 up front, 0%, easy sneezy, right? It should cash flow positive right away. Or we can use third-party financing where the entire amount is funded. Now you're not paying us the 0%, you're paying the third party, whatever bank or lender, and then that would qualify for the $25,000 working capital allocation. Thank you, Jim, for that question. And so, Adam, it's completely up to you. You know, many of us have been college professors, full-time or adjunct. Others have taught out in the community. Using cohorts for this models is brand new. We just rolled it out recently. I wouldn't say that there's established best practices yet because we just rolled it out, right? Like a week, 2 weeks ago. So it's an opportunity for you to be as creative as you want to be, or just leave it alone if it's too much at this time. Scott asked, do we bring a credit literacy educator on as an affiliate? Yeah, so you always want to bring them on as a sub-affiliate first using your post-affiliate pro link. We had a training on that, and then add them as a credit literacy educator. That's right, Scott. All right, so Michael, our newest joint venture partner. Yep. So you are live, you were onboarded, I think it was yesterday, but my memory is a little distracted with all that's going on this week with weather. But yes, you are up and going. And then the $25,000 sign-on bonus is available to you, just like it is to everyone else once the license fee is paid in full. All right, let's see. Adam's kind of drilling it down. He says, it seems that all I need to do is mentor in each week based upon the training videos and helping them move forward. That's right. You're not responsible for helping them work on life plan that's above and beyond. You're not responsible for putting together their funding package. It's guiding them through that 4-week process. Now, what I will tell you, Adam, and it's what some of you are doing, is actually building an expectation of let's just role play for a second. Let me scroll down and look at who all's on the training today. So let's take James. James is one of our joint venture partners. He's getting ready to open a COVID compliant JV office. So let's say James is my client, and I explain, okay, James, over the next 4 weeks, I'm going to be working with you to help you navigate through this 4-week process to help build your financial literacy and get your loan package together. And then afterwards, if you'd like my additional assistance, we can talk about that at this time. So what I just did is I planted a seed with James. Hey, if you want to hire me as your consultant, as your business coach after this 4 weeks, after you've gotten your first round of funding, hey, we could talk about that. So a number of you are full-time business coaches or have expressed interest in business coaching. So while you're getting paid from us the $100 an hour for this 4-week sequence, keep in mind, now you've got a credible, legitimate, pretty tight relationship with these clients. There's no reason in the world that you couldn't offer to become their business coach above and beyond this 4-week curriculum and generate additional streams of revenue by helping them. Business coaching is a big business. And I think the average coaching client pays $1,000 a month. So, what if you had 20 clients as your coaching clients that are paying you a reoccurring $1,000 a month? It's $20,000 a month, 240,000 a year. So again, I'm not telling you to go become a business coach. I'm not going to train you on how to do that. There are some training programs out there, or maybe you know more than enough to do it on your own. But you certainly created such an important role with this client. You don't have to stop coaching them or mentoring them after 4 weeks, but the relationship would change. We're only going to pay you that $100 an hour for that 4 weeks. After that fourth week is over, now I guess that could be an upsell opportunity. So let's add that. Maybe you would become a business coach and then continue to work with them. And that would tie back nicely to lesson 1 from week 1 when we talk about, again, the 4th type of business planning, which is smart planning. So every month they should be setting goals. And most of us, if we don't have a coach, a mentor, a guide to hold us accountable to do what we say that we'll do, often we'll lose focus. But I digressed a bit. So let's get back on track here. Okay, so we're clear on the cohort. Robert's asking a really good question. For the cohorts, it is more common to use Zoom so they can see each other and create more of a sense of community, in contrast to just your weekly calls. But again, I think some of you are just still trying to get your legs underneath you of the basic mentoring, which is mission critical. Playing with, expanding, and doing more on the cohort side is purely optional. Okay, let's see what other questions we have here. Robert's making a little political statement about Texas being criticized for neglecting its electrical grid. And I see some of that. We have our own power at home, so the backup generator kicks on if the grid goes down. So we're kind of immune to that, but I'm sure others that don't have a backup generator, it's pretty uncomfortable. All right, and so Jim says one could promote a 4-week cohort training and then charge a fee. Yes. So I think you're exactly right, Jim, from what I'm interpreting. That's what I'm trying to point out. We'll pay you the $100 an hour for this 4-week window going through this curriculum. But again, if you want to offer some sort of business coaching service, one-on-one or group, after week 4, they're going to have the money, most likely either out of FTF or other funding. You can continue to be a resource in a broader sense. That's outside the scope of our relationship with them. You don't owe us anything for that. You could make $1 million business coaching from these clients. You don't owe us anything. But the point is that I think you could argue, and I'll kind of close on this, what does every small business owner need? I would argue every small business owner needs a CPA relationship, because they're going to need to file taxes, and they also should be doing tax planning. I also would argue that every small business owner needs access to legal counsel to be able to review agreements, resolve disagreements, and so forth. And so some of you are Legal Shield reps, as an example. But regardless, access to accountants, a CPA, access to attorneys makes sense. And then they need access to capital, which is our program. So check that box. And then fourthly, many businesses would really benefit by having a business coach, someone that's objective, that's not emotionally involved with their business, that can help guide them through. And while our 4-week program is standardized and I think very, very good, using award-winning curriculum, might I add, what happens in week 5 of ongoing coaching? Well, that's where you could come in and generate extra income by providing value. And so for any of you that need additional help, I use Calendly, just like we talked about. I have a different link for, and I'll add that here. Let me put that. So for those of you that are distribution partners, this is my specific Calendly link for our distribution partners. And so if you want to do a one-on-one with me, then that's what you would schedule. We don't give that to clients because they're not distribution partners. All right, so let's summarize as we wrap up here. So what we've done is we've said mentoring clients is fun, it's rewarding. You generate $100 an hour for the orphan clients. If you're any good at all, you're going to be able to do a lot of financial needs analysis. It's the dream of pretty much every financial service professional to have a group of people that are looking to you, eyes on you, ears listening to you, saying, what should I do? And so you're able to objectively and legally and ethically and morally identify what needs they have, whether it be a key person policy, other asset protection, or wealth accumulation. It's just incredible. And if that doesn't strike you as being just a really big deal, then either I've failed, or more than likely, you may just not understand or appreciate the financial services industry enough. So we've covered where we can get past trainings, the YouTubes. We've talked about the upsell opportunities, not in the case of how do we take advantage of people, but opposite of that, how do we address the voids, the gaps, the deficiencies they have that's preventing them from being as credible as they can be. And then I guess we'll scoot that over. We've also addressed how we can work with you individually if we've not addressed your needs on today's Zoom or reoccurring Zoom. Hopefully you've all gone through the Access to Capital program yourself, so you're getting each of these emails that the client gets in addition to the training that I'm referencing here. If not, I encourage you to go through it. There's no upfront cost, of course, and you can use the Access to Capital program to raise the $100,000 to do whatever it is you want to do, including paying for your joint venture license if that's what you want. As far as the financial needs analysis link that Robert asked, we're not teaching you how to do the financial needs analysis. That is going to be based upon your model. Some of you are securities licensed, some of you are just life insurance. You come from different IMOs and using different carriers. So we're not an insurance agency. And so how you go about doing your financial needs analysis will vary based upon your structure that's outside of what we do. All right, well, thanks everyone. Good training. We'll see you back tomorrow morning, weather permitting. Have a good day.